but our next company who will present is Sedgwick, is the insurance company processing claims. But they are going to talk about the topics that you can be really related to, such as how to offer product bundlings and how to do the revenue recognition in the financial platform, and for example, the billing options in an integrated platform. So, and the reduced revenue, revenue leakage, those kind of topics that everybody is interested in. So I'm very honored to introduce the two speakers, Kevin Hawkins from the Sedgwick, the Senior Vice President of Finance, and Andrey Kuripko, yes, from Mobolutions. Welcome.
Hello, everybody. It's really good to see all of you. So we're happy to be here. So
we are.
So Kevin would be starting our presentation, right?
Yep.
So sharing the journey. Okay, so we can use this one.
Yep. That's us.
Yeah.
So let me just tell you a little bit about Sedgwick. So Sedgwick's been in business for about 50 years. We have, it's gone through an amazing growth, especially in the last 10 years. We have, it's over $4 billion in revenue now, but when we started this journey, it was a third of that. So that was 7 years ago. So it just tells you the growth that the company has had. Also, when we were started, we were primarily in North America, and through acquisitions and strategic acquisitions, and also just organic growth of existing customers and new customers that are in the marketplace, we've expanded to all these different countries. It's just amazing to me from where we've come from. So basically, Sedgwick is not insurance, but we do claims is a primary business that we do. So we manage claims. We do manage it for insurance companies. We manage it for privately, for self-insured employers and liability, workers' compensation, marine claims, all types of claims. And now we've expanded beyond that, and we're a technology company, driven company, so we've developed a lot of products that are used by our customers. And BRIM has been an important part of that, of delivering some of the innovation, at least on the billing, revenue, and recognition and side that we do. It's been, we're all over the world now. So we still are primarily using BRIM for our North American space because of the acquisitions that we had, but we are bringing on some of these other countries into BRIM on a strategic basis. So keep going. Yeah. All right. So talking about, we're going to focus on just a couple services here because this is primarily where we're really receiving innovation in this, is we have so workers' compensation and the claims. If you're an employer, we take in those claims. So if your employee gets hurt, they are calling, they're calling us and submitting those claims, and then we process those claims and administer those claims all the way to closure, even through payments that are made out to anybody and through that. So the focus here in all these areas: workers' compensation, liability claims, which include auto and professional medical malpractice, workforce absence, which is more on the disability side, not connected to employment necessarily. But for all of those, we take we take things that are complicated for employers to manage, and we simplify it, and we make it less complex. And that is a goal that we had when we were trying to solve for this 7 years ago. And so BRIM has been a major factor in being able to allow us to do that. We're going to show how that does that. All right. So let's talk about some of the costing methods. Are mostly industry-driven, some of these costing methods that we just can't get away. We can't say, okay, we're business, it's B2B, it's not consumers at the other end. So you can't force them into certain models. They're just stuck in that. So we had to accommodate it. We had to standardize them and accommodate it. So some of them are claims, we charge per claim. Some we have call center fees, intake fees. Salary multiplier could be a different one. We might call it cost plus. And then per employee per month might be for disability plans. So all these different volumes and metrics that are used to determine the fees. So those are mostly usage-based fees, recurring fees that we might have, and then also the tier-based fees. So if you look at on the left on the per claim, over 4,000 plus customers that we have now. In the per claim charge plan that we use, there's over 200 pricing tables. Just crazy for that. We did have some challenges as we were implementing with this, in that we.
So we couldn't fit everything right within the same table, right? To keep this huge table with all the rules, right?
We just couldn't do that. But what I was getting at is we're on, I think, version 28 of the charge plan. So we've had 27 other charge plan versions, right? We didn't actually go live until we had 20. So we had some challenges to get there of where we're going to be at. But it has the but you can see that the per claim is certainly our most complex, and then salary multiplier and fixed fee are less complex, but we do have a significant number of customers.
Right, and why, to what Kevin just mentioned, why do we have so many charge plan versions? And the charge plan, right, for those who don't know, but though I assume a lot of people know what does it mean. It's basically the object where we calculate our pricing, right, for our contracts, and we'll touch base on our model, how we do pricing, because it really happens at the client level, at the provider contract level, we keep getting new requirements as the company grows. There are new scenarios, new challenges, new customer requirements, and that's why we have this flexible approach. So we iterate, increase the I wouldn't say increasing complexity, but increase the functionality of our charge plans to be able to cover different customers and new scenarios, right? That's why we have this ongoing change management process, how we kind of update those charge plans to support new scenarios. So as you can see, we listed some of the costing methods, but we have a bunch more, in addition to these costing methods, right? And the costing method if we go to the technical terms, right? This is a key parameter which drives the charge plan determination, right? So we are using configurable products, right, with multiple parameters. So Sedgwick does not use the fixed, catalog of the products, because the way they do business, right, is very flexible, very customer oriented. They can tune the service towards the customer needs. There are multiple variables at the product level which can be changed for a specific contract to impact how the price is going to be calculated, how the billing will happen, and so on, right? So that's why the configurable products with multiple parameters and the costing method as one of the key criteria drives the charge plan activation, pricing, billing, and all subsequent processes. So,
yeah, and I'll just mention on volume. So, to give you an idea, this we're not talking about a few thousand or 10,000. Since we've started, we have over 122 million bits, billable items, that have been processed. So. Not all of them go through convergent charging, but a significant number of them do, or are connected in some way. Just in the last 12 months, it's been over 42 million that have been processed. So we're starting to get up, I think we're probably past 4 million a month that are processing through these systems to get in. And it blows your mind a little bit of the volume that we're able to do and able to do every single day.
Right. So, we just wanted to show this relatively typical BRIM solution design, right? So obviously, BRIM consists of multiple systems. In particular, we have SOM component, convergent charging, convergent invoicing. We're not leveraging convergent mediation. CM is not present, due to multiple reasons. So if we will have time, so we can discuss this. But as you can see, our overall design, at least where we started, and now just to mention, we're undergoing an upgrade process. So we are upgrading to S/4HANA, we're upgrading to new CC version. We have plans to basically convert the standalone SOM into the embedded SOM, right, in S/4HANA. So it's currently going on, right? But where we started, we had a CRM product and SOM as part of the CRM, right? So convergent charging, we started with a version 4.0. Then upgraded to 4.1, and now we're upgrading to the latest 2021, right? So it's a big jump for us. So, and we are really looking forward to all the new functionalities and improvements that have been done in the newest version. Obviously, we have CI, right, where we'll actually load our usage, right, get our billable items and produce invoices, send out them to the customers, our FICA accounting subledger, and obviously, even though the FICA is not part of the BRIM, but I think it's quite essential to show the endpoint from the financial perspective, because one of the key challenges from a reporting standpoint was to be able to basically move this data, preserving certain reporting parameters related to claims management, right? And when you reconcile from a subledger, FICA subledger to a FICO, right, you lose some detail, right? The aggregation happens due to multiple reasons, but to reduce the volume. So, and it was one of the things that we found a solution using BRIM, how we can preserve the claim relevant reporting elements and move them to our general ledger, and to be able to generate financial statements at the required level. Okay, so I wouldn't go through the standard objects because probably most of you are aware, but I would like to maybe emphasize some points which we do believe specific for Sedgwick, right? So as we said, the pricing that Sedgwick does, the pricing of the services, is very customer oriented, right? So, and on the previous slides, you saw that one of the costing methods, like per claim costing, right, when we're calculating the charges based on the claims, right, it had around 200 mapping tables, right? So it's a CC object, right, that can store rates, all kind of information. So we actually build a solution where users would update rates at the provider order and provider contract levels, right? So we are redefining, I mean like the end users of the solution, when they're creating a provider order for a specific customer, they will, in SOM, re-upload, redefine the mapping table, updating the rates, right? So they have this ability, even like if needed, right? So they can create different provider orders with different rates, even for the same customer, right? If they want to tune it for different services. So, which is quite interesting, because there are a lot of cases where, customers would maintain their rates globally in CC through the default tables, but in our design, we are really leveraging the definition of mapping tables at the provider order, and obviously once it's submitted at the provider contract level. So in terms of the integration with usage data, so this box represents a lot of source system. There is not a single system, that we are integrating with our BRIM solution, but one of the major systems, the Sedgwick Claims Management System, Juris. So it has a connection through the ETL layer, and we use this interface to load the usage, rate it, right, and later on bill and invoice bits and deliver it to the customers. So Kevin, anything you want to add to what I said?
No, so it's given us the flexibility. Our clients, as I mentioned, are very dynamic. the requirements, even in the marketplace that we live in our industry. Our customers are very dynamic in their needs. Obviously, we pride ourselves in being able to make our customers happy, just across the board. We like to lead them in places that are not going to cause issues. Obviously, we prevent them from doing that, but this has provided the flexibility for us to be able to really do that by client. It does make it intense on what we call the master data maintenance of that. So it's very intensive of that, but once that's set up, it automatically throws it, goes all the way through for all the processing of invoices and things like that. So just to go into a specific example, just to show some of the things that we've had to do. So one is, this is a claims administrative example of a workers' compensation claim. Obviously, we take in the claim, we charge them a certain amount. The claim is what's important here. So it's a unique ID, the claim is, that comes in. And everything, if it's an incident, it's worth $50. If it's an indemnity claim, it's worth $500. If it's a medical only claim, it's worth $200. And these are just examples. So change, and then it can also change back from an indemnity to a medical only claim. So that means it goes from $500 being worth $500 to being worth $250. So that's what this is showing. So in that, we had to create something to handle that, and which we affectionately call a claim handler now. So to be able to do that, and I'll let Andrey talk about that.
Yeah, which is obviously based on the convergent invoicing functionality, right? Since we have a lot of flexibility, how do we support the billable item creation, right? So we can make different decisions at the time of bid creation based on the status and different parameters. So we use this component, use the extension capabilities that it provides to build so-called claim handler, right? So what the claim handler does, it tracks the claim valuation as the times go. Whenever a new bid for the same claim is created, it analyzes the impact. If there is a new value change, it will create extra billable items to kind of represent that. It would reverse. It would create negative bids if required, right? So it keeps track of the claim balance, right? So it's a very, very important solution. And the interesting point here is, like, in addition to convergent charging, which obviously pushes the bids, right? Because convergent charging does the rating and creates bids and sends them to CI. Here we are leveraging CI to create bids for this particular kind of scenario. So, and then the things gets more interesting. Let's say if you have a claim with a long history, multiple billable items, pricing changes, like location changes, whatever, like there are so many parameters. And then let's say you have to readjust the original rate, maybe like, a few months back, right? So, and you have to trigger the rating process, and it should happen exactly in the proper sequence. So you cannot let system re-rate those bits like in a random order, otherwise it will mess up the claim balance. So that was a little bit challenging for us, but eventually we figured it out how to control the rating units and rating batches to be able to keep the proper order, re-rate in the proper order, and preserve the true claim valuation.
Yeah, and this was definitely one of the most challenging areas that we had to work through. Did not work. Our first iteration of this did not work. And we had to get it modified. Thanks to Andrey, we were able to get it correctly done
effort, yeah.
for it, because there's a lot of complexity into this. I mean, we're talking about, you don't want, we have profit centers, and you don't want revenue transferring by profit center if that were to change. In between these, you only want the incremental part. So there's a lot of, and there's a lot of other variables that we wanted to make sure we're posting to the GL correctly without impacting our financials, internal financials that we have for management reporting. So this is one that we still continue to try to improve, but it's definitely working for us as we have right now.
All right, because another, and I will add here, right, so which will lead us to later to discussion of the volume of the billable items, right? So in order to get these charges calculated at a proper level, having all the correct attributes, we had to introduce several layers of original charge allocation, right? So normally, let's say, you would handle everything in CC, you would have dependent charges if you need to split it, right, and produce multiple bits, but, you know, there is some information which was not available in convergent charging, so we have to move the portion of this functionality again to CI, where we have more data because of the other interfaces, data flows, to split this charge further and enrich the data points. And, you know, at the end of the day, like instead of one charge calculated from CC, we might have like 4, 5, 6, right? But enriched with data, with proper parameters, with proper value recorded as a proper level, and then we would aggregate it back on our billing and invoicing documents and send it to the customer, right? But as a result, we, you know, a payoff for this precision is basically a volume increase, right? And obviously, you know, the more bits you have, more resources is required, more time is required, you know, to process the volumes and so on and so on. And you know, we are working on optimizing this process, and Kevin had quite a few good ideas how we can improve it, right, with respect to claim handler, just to avoid creation of extra bits where, you know, where it's not, let's say, mandatory, right? So, all right. Let's move to the next one.
So for revenue recognition, this is really important. So we have, for us, so unbilled revenue, we're using the revenue recognition in FICA and in BRIM, and we have, for that, it's really important. I mean, this for us is really important, particularly because it's not just that we're missing like a month or a few days worth of revenue that's unbilled. In our model, when we have some clients that are billed on estimates, but and then trued up in a year's time, and maybe an annual true up. And so for that whole year, these are unbilled bits because it's estimated bits that have gone, and then the true up happens at the end of the year. So at any time, we have hundreds of millions of dollars in unbilled revenue that's being recorded to our financials. So it's very important. We have run into some challenges there, and we've worked through those, and just making sure we have a lot of validations that occur that make sure that the unbilled revenue is matching to the bits. So we do a lot of that validation during the month and making sure that that's happening. So it's very, very important. We continue to improve it, trying to increase the visibility to it, just so that we monthly at least, or daily as we go around, that we're able to validate that it's accurate and what we think is correct. The other part is deferral based, and this is just this is a very simple example, but it's very standard what you see there. But on deferrals, we have multiple time-based deferral schemes that have to be put in there, because on the claims we get revenue at not the time we need to record the revenue. So we put that in, so we bill for $500. Well, we have to, depending on the type of claim it is, we might have to spread it over 9 months or something like that. So we have multiple schemes, and those rules we have to put in there also to defer correctly for each client. So that's been a challenge for us as well. There's still more work to be done in that area that we have, but it's been able to handle it for us very well. So we've been able to work through it.
Right, and just maybe to add a few points here, that obviously the unbilled revenue is implemented as part of the convergent invoicing, right? It's a component of the convergent invoicing, and the time-based deferral is the FICA component, and the same, same invoice can go through both of these processes, right? Like example for a true up, and true up is a separate topic by itself. Unfortunately, we don't have a lot of time to cover it, but it starts with like multiple charge plans being activated for the same provider contract, right? We have estimated actual bits. We're using CIF setting functionality to calculate the delta at the end of the period, and it goes through all this unbilled revenue and deferrals, right? So it's like adds up, and at the end we're getting quite interesting process. But we were able to kind of leverage BRIM capabilities to have the transparency and visibilities at each step of this process, right? Starting from submitting the provider order, because in 4.0, right, we call the orders provider orders, right? So and flowing through this number of systems and functionalities, we still have a capability to monitor the flow and make sure that the revenue is correct. And then going back to the reporting capabilities of BRIM, obviously when Sedgwick started to implement it, it was not, at that time it was probably one of the latest versions, maybe not the latest. Right now we have S/4HANA and convergent charging 2021. There are a lot of Fiori applications with different reporting capabilities, but the version which we used from the beginning, it had some reporting capabilities, but with respect to the business requirements, we obviously had to use other SAP tools to provide more visibility, like for example business objects, right? We're actively using business objects to create reports for the BRIM solution, for the revenue piece of our kind of system, and they're working quite well, right? So yeah, so that's more or less with respect to the revenue recognition. So do you want me? So it's a little bit crowded picture. So so basically it represents the billing and invoicing process in the Sedgwick system. So we're leveraging obviously CI convergent invoicing to create billing and invoicing documents and deliver it to the customers, right? So our solution, right? We had to turn the solution to match Sedgwick requirements and Sedgwick customers' requirements, right? And it's at this point the solution is so diverse in the sense there are so many different scenarios. For example, if we start from the top, we'll skip the invoice grouping table for now, right? You see an example where we get those bits, and we can get bits in multiple ways, right? It's not only through convergent charging. We have interfaces with other systems which will evaluate the usage or the service consumption event and send us already a charge, in the form of bid. So it's not even going some of the scenarios through the convergent charging, right? I just wanted to mention that there are a lot of inputs into CI from different systems. So, but at the end of the day, once we have a billable item, right, we're running our billing and invoicing processes. So, and in the first example, the invoice will go through the workflows, right? So there are cases where we do mass invoicing, right? Based on the predefined parameters, and we just sending it out automatically with minimal validation. Like in case of true ups, right? Because we have to basically wait sometimes for a year, right? To do the system does the calculation, but obviously the business team validates that the final charge is correct, and we cannot just send it out. So it goes through the multiple level of the workflows and review, and only once the revenue administrator or the customer service director reviews and approve it and attach the documentation, then the invoice will be delivered with the system, right? So for some scenarios, we have multiple workflows. We need to attach the documents. People will validate, approve it, then we'll send it out. In other cases, as I said, we have predefined rules. Minimal review is needed. We have jobs, multiple jobs running, producing those invoices, and they're being delivered to the customer. So we have multiple delivery methods. One of our main ones is obviously to deliver it through an email. And we also and when we send an email, we can send it directly to the customer, or we can send it, if an extra level of review is required, internally route to the person responsible for the customer or for the line of business. So we have this very flexible solution with rules where we can define how different services, how different invoices related to different services are processed, approved, and where they would be routed to. And at the core of this solution, we are using so-called invoice grouping table, right? So what we actually did, right? In standard BRIM/CI functionality, you can obviously define all those rules, right? Because you have capability to define how you group your billable items, billing documents, and how you produce your invoice documents. But in our case, and you do it through configuration. You have to, go through the change management process, move transfers, and so on and so on. But in our case, we had a requirement that basically business wanted to maintain it by themselves, sometimes ad hoc, and our task was to basically transition this functionality from the IT configuration responsibility to a master data maintenance. So, and that's what we did. We leveraged some extra SAP components like Business Rules Framework Plus. So, and we created these tables where business users can go and define the delivery rules, grouping delivery rules for the specific customers, for the specific services, define multiple emails, delivery methods, and so on and so on. So it gives a lot of kind of flexibility. Okay.
We're out of time.
Okay. Yeah. So, all right.
So,
just to conclude, right? So.
Yeah. To conclude. Well, I'll just mention, so we don't use it all, everything doesn't follow the same path. We have multiple on-ramps to invoice customers, and we're utilizing BRIM and FICA to do that. So we have some just go directly to convergent invoicing. They create bits. What we've talked about is a lot where it's usage-based and it's going through convergent charging and then creating the bits in invoicing. And then there's some from legacy systems where they're already delivering the invoices that are going and directly uploading those invoices to FICA.
So it's basically versatility and flexibility of the solution. You don't need to go through each and every component if you don't have to, right? Depending on your requirements, depending on your integrations, you can choose a different path within the solution to kind of support this requirement, right? You can send usage from the claims system to convergent charging, like rated and so on. You can load pre-evaluated charges as bits from other systems to CI. And if you need just to do accounting reconciliation, you can just send the records through the interface to FICA subledger directly, right? And have your accounting books, reconcile. So this kind of, flexibility allows you to kind of choose the way you want to go, right, with the solution.
It's been very important for our acquisitions and consuming those, because we have a lot of new different lines of businesses that we're invoicing. And I think that's pretty much it. We continue to optimize, and we won't go into the details of this, but we continue to optimize. We're ongoing, and there's things we want to do in the future as well, and those are listed here. But I don't know, one question? No questions? So, but you can certainly come track us down if you have any. Thank you.
Thank you.